excited to talk to Wil Reynolds about what he does for the community, for the larger community, for his local community, and how he runs his business. And then some Google Evil stuff. Should be interesting. This video is sponsored by Rank Ranger, an all-in-one SEO platform that offers dozens of customizable tools and reports. Check them out at rankranger.com. Well, thank you, Wil, for being here. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's awesome to meet you in person finally. And
Seriously.
we've seriously known you forever, but not in real life. So
Likewise.
Thank you. Could you tell people who don't know about you what you do, who you are?
I'm Wil Reynolds, founder of Seer Interactive and a 20-year SEO guy.
20-year.
This August marks, I got my first job in August of 1999.
Wow.
Doing search.
So search has not changed at all in 20 years?
Zero.
Nothing.
I'm doing the same I used to do. Cloaking scripts, awesome.
If only, right? Those are the days. I don't know.
Those are the easy days.
So, what do you think about, no, I'm just joking. Yeah, yesterday you talked a little bit about how, somebody ping pong ball. This is live vlogging here.
Right.
Remember I used to do live vlogging back in the day? I don't know if you remember that.
No.
I used to do crazy live vlogging, and I stopped doing that because it was just hell. Anyway, in your speech, you talked about that phrase. What do you think about it? How much you hate it? Can you talk a little about that?
I mean, the problem is that I have a lot of experience, and therefore people will say, well, what do you think about page speed? And I'm like, I don't think anything about page speed. I think we should take your top 100,000 keywords, pull the top 10 rankings for all of them, and run page speed on all of them, and tell you what page speed means for you. Page speed might matter a lot more for a gossip site, right? Oh, I'm just getting this content kind of quick. But I would never want to see a medical site have lower rankings because their page doesn't rank as fast. So I always feel that there's nuance with all these things. You should always pull your own data.
Yeah, you are a data guy. I mean, that's what you...
I've become a data guy.
When did that happen? When was that transition?
2.5 years ago.
That's it.
I literally started realizing how little data I was looking at as an SEO. It's the beauty of not being just an SEO. About 6 years ago, I went and got my AdWords certification. Because I'm like, well, there's so much money being spent over there. Why don't I use any of that data? And it just opened my eyes to, oh my God, we've been arguing about how to estimate not provided.
Right.
I was like, wait, they have all the impressions? For literally, we would have conferences for years where people are talking about how to get your not provided back. And the paid search people in the audience must have just been like, we have all that data over here, buddy, like just use it. So that was my spark. And since then I realized, I believe it's literally malpractice for me to do my job the way I did it before I started looking at these massive data sets to help clients be successful.
So any of your older clients are welcome to sue you?
Yeah, right, no way. No lawsuits.
Let's talk about running a company. Okay. So you run a pretty impressive company. You started it in 2002. Can you tell us about why you started it?
Sure. So I was volunteering at a children's hospital, and I was working on Wednesdays from 6 to 9, just playing with sick kids in the hospital. I asked my boss at the time if I could work through my lunch so I could get to my volunteer assignment on time after showing up late for a couple of ones. Right. And she said, well, I don't think we can do that. And at that point, I had been looking for a job and knocking on doors for at least about 18 months, and I couldn't get a job. So that was my catalyst that made me quit. I called my mom and told her I think I got to start my own company.
And was that like scary? I mean, it was like, you're losing a paycheck and you're starting your own company? Do you have a family back then?
No, I was young as hell.
So you could do whatever you want.
So it was easier to do. I have a lot of respect for people who start things with families because it's just a different risk factor.
And it seems like, I mean, obviously I've heard you speak, I've seen a lot of your videos, I don't know if you know that, but I've been watching a lot of your stuff. And it seems the way you run your company is kind of like how you want to treat your family and how you want people to treat you.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
It's simple.
Yeah.
I remember what it was like to not be trusted. I remember what it was like to work till 8 o'clock at night on something and then have somebody be pissed that you weren't in the office the next day at 8:30. You're like, well, I'm only paid until 5 and I'm passionate about this. I'm not there at 8 o'clock complaining. I'm more than willing to do this work. But then I'm gonna come in, a half hour later than we open and you're gonna be giving me looking at your watch. I was like, I just want to be treated like an adult. Right. And that's what I do. I hire people and I treat them like adults. And I think that's an easier way to run the business for everybody. For
sure. I mean, I have my own company and I'm not as big as you, obviously, but people come in when they want, they leave when they want. As long as they get the job done.
Get the job done.
That's all that matters, really. So
get the job done.
I heard you once give a video about you had opportunities to sell your company.
Yep.
And you haven't, and you talked a little bit about why you didn't. Somebody came to you today. Is there a certain number that it would be like, no number?
No.
Why?
I'm not saying there's no number. I don't even entertain the thought. I'm having too much fun right now.
Okay.
And I think that if I were to sell the business, there would be more constraints on some of the work that I'm doing. I feel that the way that I like to share, so the things that I'm sharing right now, most companies, if they owned us, they'd be like, we don't want you to share that on YouTube so everybody can learn.
Right.
And you're like, that's how we built our whole reputation, is we shared to help people learn, and we built reputation that way. That's what you bought. And I just think that most people wouldn't let me do it. So I'm trying to, so I'm not really entertaining that. However, what I will say is I have this vision and this dream that someday I'll have 20 or 30 people sitting around a campfire somewhere that I used to work with, and I can look at all 20 or 30 of them and know that all their kids' freaking college is paid for and that their student loans are paid for. Maybe a couple people knocked out their mortgage and they never, that's like my dream. So if somebody gave me an offer and I knew that I had a bunch of people who had been with me long enough, who I was like, yeah, you know what, guys, I think it's time. I might do that because I don't want to hold on for too long and miss the opportunity to help them feel that lack of stress that comes from money stress.
Yes.
That I have. I have that. I want to try to get more people at Seer that same sentiment. Not everybody, but there's been people that have been with me, ride or die, helping me to really do amazing things. And it would make me feel fulfilled to know that someday they can go, I can work wherever I want now. I can start that business I wanted to start because my mortgage is covered, because Will gave me a bunch of shares at the end of it and I'm good now. So that would make me very happy.
That's awesome. I mean, you are a very good person. I mean, you can tell that from all the videos, the way you talk, you share.
That's how I was raised.
That's how you were raised. So you don't take credit for it. Okay, good. Let's talk about not being a good person.
Okay.
Let's talk about Google. You seem pretty anti-Google. You kind of classify Google as being evil somewhat. In your presentation yesterday at MozCon, you spoke about how the organic team could figure out certain things very, very easily, especially when it comes to keyword matching and stuff like that. And when it comes to the ad team, they're somewhat purposely going ahead and expand your keywords into keywords that don't make sense and then throwing away your money.
Yeah.
And you were very, very passionate about it. You don't have to be so passionate here, but just describe that a little bit and explain why you think Google is being unethical, I guess.
Well, you know what? Google's acting in their best interest.
Okay.
And I just put out a tweet about this. Like, Google's job is to grow their business. It's our job as marketers. So I had to show marketers how I showed them how to do all this last year and they didn't do it. So now I had to show them that they're being made fools of by Google to motivate them to go do this work. Because if it's not Google, it's Yelp, it's gonna be Yext, it's gonna be Facebook. Like, these companies are using their best and brightest minds to figure out how to get you and I to spend more money. They are not using those same people to figure out how to save us money on their platform so that we don't get bad clicks. So therefore, I think Google's acting in their best interest, which is what almost every company does, not all, but most do. And as a result, there's no incentive for them to really use the information they already have. Now, if they were a wonderfully great company, they would do that. But they are a publicly traded company. They have stockholders and shareholders to answer to. So therefore, I think that...
Yeah, but you kind of equate to what they're doing to kind of stealing.
Well, yeah, because they know better, but it's willful ignorance. So their stealing is actively like, oh, I took this thing off the shelf. Willful ignorance to me is more like, you know something's happening, you could do something about it, but you're not. That's not necessarily
removing like certain types of exact match features and stuff like that.
So like removing exact match features is a great example. I looked at every single exact match query in our clients been matched to, so I'm looking at 1 million or so exact match close variants. 99% of the time it works. But the 1%, they know better about that 1%, and that 1% is probably worth tens of millions of dollars to them. And it's like, they know the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% where there's a mismatch, and they won't go after that. But 95% of the time, it's actually helpful. But they don't tell you when you're the outlier and it's not helpful for you.
Hopefully one day they will. They'll watch the video and they'll do
so.
it. I don't think they will. But.
Nope.
Because the pattern is to keep expanding those keywords.
Exactly. Well, that's how they make money.
Yeah. They can increase the cost per click, but they're not. They're reducing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a smoke and mirrors.
Yep.
You're awesome on camera. You're awesome on stage. You're awesome on videos. Why?
Because I was a teacher teaching economics to high school kids, and they did not want to be there. So when you really are passionate about helping people to learn things, and they don't want to be there, you learn how to present. So I learned how to present to 15-year-olds who would rather be on their phones or it was 1998, so it was like passing notes. Remember those days? Like that's what kids did back in those days. And you learn like, man, how can I keep them engaged so they can learn this subject matter? And I think that is what's gotten me in the position that I am today, related to my ability to be a strong presenter, is because I spent a year speaking to people who didn't want to hear a word I had to freaking say, and that is great training on how to engage a group of people who do want to hear what you have to say.
I hear that. And so you volunteer at Children's Hospital.
Yep.
You taught kids.
Yep.
And you do a tremendous amount of charity work, from what I see.
Yep.
Obviously, you love giving back to the community.
Yep.
You obviously give financially and also your personal time.
Yep.
You actually,
Tons
I've
of
seen
personal
pictures
time.
of you in kitchens and helping out and stuff like that. Obviously, what does that mean so much to you?
I think we have a larger purpose than just making money as an organization. And I think we, our communities are there for us. They lift us up, they support us, and I want to be known as a company that cares about the communities that we're in, so that we can have an impact on the community that we're in. It's very important for me to impact our search community, but also impact the local communities where we have offices. Because in San Diego, especially like in Philly, we're here in Seattle.
Yeah.
You walk around the streets very quickly, you can see there's a lot of people who might need help.
Yeah.
And I want to be a company that's always trying to address those needs versus just kind of walking by people and saying like, somebody else will take care of this problem.
It's funny because I met with a financial advisor not too long ago, and he's like, you give a lot of money to charity. I'm like, well, my religion makes us give at least 10%. It's easy. You'd have to do it, and there's a reason for it. So I'm surprised more people, I know there's also in Christianity the concept of 10% tithing and stuff like that. It's interesting, and to see somebody like you do that because it's important, not because you're kind of required to do is amazing.
It's the right thing to do.
No, 100%.
It's the right thing to do.
Give more.
Give more.
Where can people learn more about you?
Twitter is the best place to get me. YouTube channel, I would say Twitter's good if you want to engage. YouTube channel, I try to put out some stuff that can help people through both search and the struggles of running a company. I like to talk more about how the struggles than the upside. Inspiration is an oversupply. So if you want to be like riled up about how awesome entrepreneurship is, there's 1,000 people who can do that for you, and there's going to be 2,000 tomorrow. If you want to hear about the stuff that really sucks, that's hard, like what it's like to lose a client, what it's like to overspend a client account by $200,000, that you go, oh, we made a mistake, and how do you actually have those conversations with clients and earn their trust, then come to my channel. If you want some rah-rah Gary Vee then go to Gary Vee, because he's much better than I am at that.
Transparency is up the scale with you. It's amazing.
Well, nobody shares that stuff. That's the problem, Barry. It's like we all have that issue happen. And when we go to figure out how do we solve that problem, it's like nobody talks about that. Yeah. Nobody talks about their massive mess ups and their mistakes. And I like to talk about those things.
I don't think you've mentioned your company once. The name of your company is Seer Interactive.
Seer Interactive.
So check it out over there as well. Yep. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, man. It's great to finally meet you, man. Thanks for all you do for the community.
Thank you.
All right.
So what do you think about that interview with Wil? Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff, right? He's an amazing guy, gives a lot to his community, both the SEO community, the SEM community, and his local community. And he's just an awesome, transparent guy.